All right, this is Ryan with Window Genie, and I want to give a very brief overview of branch wrapping a tree with Prolumen product from Reinders. As a quick overview of tree wrapping in general, you have two options. You can either spiral wrap a tree or you can branch wrap a tree. We are going to spiral wrap the majority of trees. That's going to be all trees that do not lose their leaves, evergreen trees, Christmas trees. And we're also going to spiral wrap deciduous trees that do lose their leaves but have very thin or skimpy branches. Okay? The only trees that we will branch wrap would be a deciduous tree that loses their leaves and has very large, thick branches. Now, I do have an example for you. In this example, this is a deciduous tree. You can see it's already lost its leaves. This is very much on the cusp of whether or not we would spiral wrap or branch wrap this tree. A lot of it is going to be based on customer preference. For this example, I am going to pretend that we are branch wrapping this tree. All right. Now, whenever we quote a tree like this, we are going to quote it based on a canopy height. So if the total height of the tree that we are looking at is 30 feet, we are not going to go 30 feet up in the tree. We're not going to wrap everything on this tree. We're only going to go so far. So in this particular case, we're going to pretend that we quoted the customer as going up 15 to 16 feet. So we're going to establish a canopy 15 to 16 feet on this tree. So our next step in the process would be to run power, or our first step in the process would be to run power. So we are going to run power with an extension cord from your power source all the way up to the middle of this tree. You can see that I have it circled. In the middle of this tree, we are going to put our rectifier. Rectifier is going to be the converter piece that changes it from AC to the plug-in that we need to connect our lights. After that, we have an option to add a splitter, which we are going to do. You have three different splitter options. You have a two-way splitter, which converts it into two different lines. You have a three-way splitter, which converts it into three lines. Or you have a seven-way splitter, which is going to convert it into seven different lines. Your choice here is going to depend on how many branches you are going to wrap. All right, so let's come back to our tree. In this particular tree, let's say we're wrapping 5 to 6 branches right here on the first crotch of the tree. So in that case, we would probably need a 7-way splitter so we could take the lines out in up to 7 different directions. It doesn't have to be 7, it could be just 5. All right, so we're going to put to summarize, we're going to run our power to the first crotch of the tree. We're going to add a rectifier, and we're going to add our first splitter. Our next step is going to be to wrap the trunk of the tree. So we are going to come down the tree, wrapping the trunk. Our goal in wrapping the trunk, and any wrapping really, is to establish roughly a 4-inch spacing. 4-inch spacing is going to be roughly the length of your hand. The more even you are with it, and the more conscientious you are about keeping even spacing, the better it's going to look. Note that during the season, your lights are going to fall. Okay, so gravity is going to pull those lights down. So the more loose you wrap this, the worse it's going to look. So what you might do is start your wrap by wrapping it once or twice around this first limb. So you might establish a good solid connection and then come down the trunk and keep a very tight wrap on that, right? Wrapping it about 4-inch with 4-inch spacing. Once we get to the bottom, we are going to come back to our splitter. So you're going to stop your line down here. You're going to put an end cap on it, and you are going to secure it in place, usually by wrapping it back on itself and tying a knot. And then you're going to come back up to your splitter in the middle of the tree, and now you're going to do the same thing except wrap up. You are going to wrap up as high as it was quoted. So in this case, in this picture, it's not to scale. I've probably wrapped it too far here. But in this case, we are wrapping to a 15-foot canopy, so we're going to wrap up that high in the tree. You are going to use your ladders to lean up against the middle of the tree to access this so you can wrap it properly. All right, now I put a question mark here. The measurement from your splitter to the end of the wrap is important, because that dimension is how far you are going to go out on the first branches. So to summarize, let's say we're going up 15 feet. The first crotch of the tree is at 7 feet. So that means that we are going to go out on the branches 8 feet. So we went up 8 feet from the first crotch on the trunk of the tree. Now on the branches, we are going to go out 8 feet. And so here's an example of that. So from that splitter, we are going to run, in this case, 5 to 6 different lines going out the different branches, and we are going to go out as far as we went up on the trunk of that tree. Again, the end result is that we establish a nice even canopy. Now, whenever you do this, you are not going to be able to establish enough and as many branches as it's going to take to look good just from that first crotch. So what we are going to do is come back and add probably another splitter about halfway up the trunk, and then we are going to run the rest of our branches from that second splitter. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, obviously let us know and we can work on it together. I think the key when branch wrapping a tree is to establish even spacing, make sure that all of your wraps are very tight, that they're not going to fall, and also to make sure that you have the proper tools to get as far out as you can on the branches. And what I mean by that is, especially these upper branches, you're not going to be able to lean a ladder on those branches to support yourself safely. So what you have to do is either bring a large A-frame ladder so that you can go that you can reach that tree, or you are going to have to lean it on the trunk of the tree and then be able to reach out as far as you can safely and wrap the branches. Okay? Appreciate you, and good luck.